Giovanni Francesco Barbieri, known as Guercino, was one of the most influential painters of the Italian Baroque period. Born in Cento, a small town near Bologna, Guercino earned his nickname, meaning the squinter, because of a noticeable strabismus. Despite this minor physical peculiarity, he became one of the most brilliant and expressive painters of the 17th century, known for his dynamic compositions, mastery of light and shadow, and deeply emotional religious and secular works. His career spanned over 5 decades, and his influence extended beyond Italy, inspiring generations of artists across Europe. Guercino was born on February 8, 1591, into a modest family. His father, Andrea Barbieri, was a peasant, but young Giovanni Francesco showed an early aptitude for drawing. Recognizing his talent, his family encouraged him to pursue art despite their limited means. Guercino's artistic education was not rooted in any one formal school. Instead, he was largely self-taught, an autodidact who absorbed influences from various artists and styles in the region. In Cento, Guercino first studied under local painter Benedetto Gennari, who introduced him to the basics of composition and technique. However, it was his exposure to the works of the Carracci family, especially Ludovico Carracci, that significantly shaped his early artistic development. The Carracci were revolutionizing art in Bologna with their emphasis on naturalism and dynamic movement, which would leave a profound mark on Guercino's own style. Guercino's ability to observe life and render it with vivid detail quickly became apparent. By the time he was in his early 20s, his reputation as a talented young artist had spread beyond Cento. His works from this period display a sense of dramatic realism combined with bold, energetic brushwork, qualities that would come to define his mature style. Guercino's early work reveals a strong affinity with the principles of the Baroque. The Baroque movement was characterized by its emphasis on drama, emotion, and a sense of movement, all of which can be seen in Guercino's paintings. He was particularly adept at using chiaroscuro, the contrast between light and dark, to heighten the emotional intensity of his scenes. One of his earliest masterpieces, The Angel Appearing to Hagar in the Wilderness, circa 1650, showcases these traits. The painting captures the despair of Hagar as she is comforted by an angel, and Guercino masterfully uses light to focus the viewer's attention on the angelic figure, while casting the surrounding environment in shadow, creating a powerful contrast between divine intervention and human suffering. This approach became a hallmark of his religious paintings. Guercino's style was also heavily influenced by his exposure to the works of Caravaggio. While Guercino never adopted Caravaggio's tenebrous style completely, he did incorporate elements of Caravaggio's use of naturalism and dramatic lighting into his own works. Guercino's compositions often featured figures bathed in a soft yet focused light, which lent his scenes a sense of immediacy and intimacy without the stark, almost theatrical contrasts that Caravaggio favored. Guercino's talents soon attracted the attention of patrons beyond Cento. His breakthrough came in 1621 when Pope Gregory XV, who had recently been elected, invited him to Rome. This marked a turning point in Guercino's career. The Papal Commission gave him the opportunity to work in one of the most prestigious art centers in the world, alongside the leading artists of the time, and it brought his work to a wider audience. In Rome, Guercino created some of his most important works, including the Burial and Ascension of Saint Cento, Petronilla, 1623. This monumental altarpiece, painted for St. Peter's Basilica, showcases Guercino's ability to combine the grandeur of religious subject matter with his signature naturalism. The composition is divided into 2 sections, with the lower portion depicting the burial of the saint and the upper portion showing her ascension into heaven. The contrast between the earthly and the divine is striking, and Guercino's use of light reinforces this division, with the saint's ascension bathed in a radiant glow. Another significant work from this period is Aurora, 1621, a ceiling fresco in the Casino Ludovisi. This fresco, which depicts the goddess Aurora leading the dawn across the sky, is a masterpiece of Baroque illusionism. Guercino's use of foreshortening and perspective creates the illusion of figures floating above the viewer, a technique that became a hallmark of Baroque ceiling painting. The vibrant colors and dynamic movement of the figures make this one of Guercino's most celebrated works. Despite the success and acclaim he enjoyed in Rome, Guercino returned to Cento after Pope Gregory XV's death in 1623. He chose to remain close to his family and work in his hometown, even though he received numerous invitations to continue working in major cities like Rome and Venice. From his studio in Cento, Guercino produced a steady stream of altarpieces, frescoes, and portraits for patrons across Italy and beyond. During this period, his style began to evolve. His earlier works had been characterized by their intense emotionalism and dynamic compositions, but in the 1630s and 1640s, his paintings became more restrained and classical in tone. This shift was likely influenced by his increasing admiration for the works of the Bolognese artist Guido Reni, whose serene and harmonious compositions stood in contrast to the more dramatic style of Caravaggio and his followers. Guercino's Saint William of Aquitaine receiving the monastic habit, 1635, is an excellent example of this later style. The figures are calm and dignified, and the composition is carefully balanced, with none of the exaggerated gestures or emotions that had characterized his earlier work. Nevertheless, Guercino's technical skill remained undiminished, and his ability to convey the human form with grace and precision continued to earn him commissions from important patrons. His work from this period reflects a greater sense of introspection, as he moved away from the dramatic tenebrism of his early career towards a more refined, classical approach. In 1642, after the death of Guido Reni, Guercino moved to Bologna and took over Reni's studio. This marked another significant phase in his career, as he now became the leading artist in Bologna. His workshop became a hub of activity, producing numerous works for patrons throughout Europe. He also trained a number of younger artists, ensuring that his influence would continue long after his death. Among Guercino's late masterpieces is The Return of the Prodigal Son, 1651, which exemplifies the softer, more reflective tone of his later work. The composition is simple, yet deeply moving, with the repentant son kneeling before his father in a scene of forgiveness and reconciliation. Guercino's use of color in this work is particularly striking, with the warm, earthy tones of the figures set against a soft golden light that suffuses the entire scene with a sense of peace and redemption. In his later years, Guercino continued to receive prestigious commissions, including several from international patrons. His fame had spread beyond Italy, and his works were sought after by collectors in countries such as England, France, and Spain. Despite his success, Guercino remained deeply attached to his hometown of Cento, where he continued to live and work until his death. Guercino passed away in 1666 at the age of 75, leaving behind a vast body of work that spanned nearly 6 decades. His legacy as one of the greatest painters of the Baroque era is firmly established, and his influence can be seen in the works of numerous artists who followed him. His ability to combine dramatic realism with a deep sense of emotion and spirituality has ensured that his paintings continue to resonate with viewers today. Guercino's contributions to Baroque art are significant. His ability to blend the theatricality and drama of the Baroque with a naturalistic depiction of the human form set him apart from many of his contemporaries. His mastery of chiaroscuro, his nuanced use of color, and his skillful handling of composition made him one of the most versatile artists of his time. Though his work was sometimes overshadowed by the fame of artists like Caravaggio and Guido Reni, Guercino's influence on later generations of artists is undeniable. His students and followers carried his techniques into the 18th century, ensuring that his artistic vision would continue to shape the development of Baroque and later Rococo art. Today, Guercino's works can be found in major museums and collections around the world, from the Louvre in Paris to the National Gallery in London. His paintings continue to be studied and admired for their technical brilliance, emotional depth, and timeless beauty.